Where we at? Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3. Let me know in the chat. Y'all can hear me. Just giving a little bit of time. I am. It is crazy. It's only Monday. It is only Monday, and I am exhausted. Ty, what's up, brother? What's going on? Happy Monday. So, welcome everybody. Everybody's starting to tune in. Everybody's starting to come in. We're just gonna go ahead and get started because what was that? I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that, man. What's going on, everybody who is watching? We are live on Twitch. We are live on YouTube. We are live on LinkedIn. Yep. So we're on Twitch, YouTube, and LinkedIn on the Alpha Cybersecurity channel, except for except for the Twitch channel. You are on my DJax channel, and that is my camera. I guess I must have made a hand movement that made it think I wanted it to move. Oh man, yeah, Ty, man, blessings, man. Like I said, welcome everybody. So, if you see the title, this is going to be a little working stream today because we are going to do a little bit of research on this latest supply chain attack, and then get some work done. I wanted to do a little bit more than that, but you know, life and technology have a way of, hold on, getting in the way of things. So, so yeah, we are live at the Alpha Esports Technology Center, but we are also, like I said, streaming from the Alpha Cybersecurity channel. So I am your humble and gracious host, Davin Jackson, aka DJax. Thank you for joining. TV2, yes. All right, so yeah, man, like I said, so you see the title, working stream, and we're talking about the Sha1 Hulud exploit or vulnerability. We're also going to talk about, we're going to try to work on some automation, some scripting, and also getting our Minecraft server up for the holidays. We've got some stuff going on at the center. So for those of you who don't know, even though we are on the Alpha Cybersecurity channel, I also run a gaming and technology education center named Alpha Esports Technology, where we focus on casual and competitive gaming. Think of it as an arcade, but we also get to do some really cool stuff around tech, STEM, and cybersecurity education. So that's what we do. That's where we are right now. And like I said, I was going to do some really cool things around tech, STEM, and education, but then this supply chain attack came back and reared its ugly head. So, for those who may not know, like I said, I am a 20-year tech and cybersecurity professional in the realm of offensive security. So that's just a really cool way of saying I get to hack stuff for a living. And then also, I'm in the application security space. I work as a consultant during the day. So let me see if I can move this around. So, like I said, right now, I should have just done it on OBS, but like I said, we're here on Restream right now, so it is what it is. So anyway, so as an application security consultant, it is. Let me get back. Actually, let me move over here so y'all can see this. So as an application security consultant, it's my job to work with the different clients across their technology and essentially make their product secure. That product can be, whether it's their network or their application, whatever it is they're working on. I've worked for several different applications from in the financial sector, dabbled in crypto for a little while, medical, and like I said, now I work as my own consult. I work for myself as a consultant, so I get hired by different clients to test the security and improve the security posture of their products and devices and companies. So anyway, so like I said, so my day job consists of that, and one of the things that I get to do is research and find the nasty incidents or vulnerabilities or exploits that are out there that could affect my clients. And back in September, we came across um, a supply chain attack known as the Sha1 or Hulud attack. Now, let's back up a little bit. So, a supply chain attack is essentially a vulnerability or that can be exploited within a supply chain to exploit something else. So, for example, let's think of the Target attack back in what is out 2015 now. When that attack happened, it wasn't Target that was attacked directly. It was a vendor, or I think it was they like their HVAC, the company who handled their heating and air conditioning system. They were they were breached, and because of that, and Target being one of their clients, and them having access to Target's network for the purposes of their heating and air conditioning, the attackers were able to get into Target's network. So essentially, that's what a supply chain is. You find a vulnerability within the supply chain, and then ride that supply chain into the target, right? So imagine, so like I said, just give you another example. That's like essentially think of it as try to find a way to say it. Um, it's it's like carrying something with you, right? So it's like if you wanna get into a target, you might walk in with somebody else. You might tag them with something, whatever the case may be. But essentially, that's what it is, right? You get in because of you find an opening in one place that then allows you to get access somewhere else. So anyway, um, what happened with the Shai Halud attack was it allowed the worm affected npm packages, which are packages that are used by developers specifically in JavaScript, right? So when this vulnerability was discovered, what happened was, if the vulnerable packages or the packages that were prone to these attacks, if they were installed, it would execute a malicious script that would then go back to the attacker and allow them to gain access to steal the sensitive information from from the code base of the applications. Okay, so what would happen is, like, it's actually, let me just go ahead and open up. Let me just go back to what I was looking at before, and I'll actually maximize this. So this is from Replit. So this was back in September of this year, so about 2 months ago. And then we'll get into why are we talking about this 2 months later. So they said recently a sophisticated supply chain attack compromised a popular npm package that received over 2 million weekly downloads. So alongside hundreds of other packages, and they've dubbed it the Shai Halud attack, right? And then we'll just open up. I actually meant to, whatever. So the attack is a worm. The attack had worm-like behavior that would automatically harvest the credentials and then send that back to the attacker. Okay, so this is the first worm of its kind that was actually attacking npm packages. Okay, so that would expose the developer credentials across the industry. So they said, unlike traditional malware that targets individual systems, let me see if I can bring that music down a little bit. So instead of the malware that targets individual systems, it specifically compromised JavaScript, like I was mentioning before, that developers install in the projects. When the package is being installed, it would then execute this npm post install script in the bundle JS. The script scans the developer's code base for sensitive credentials like GitHub tokens and NPM authentication tokens. The token credentials are then used to inject malware into more packages under the compromised developer's account, and it would create. It is creating rapidly spreading infection across the NPM ecosystem. So basically, what was happening at this time was now when that was happening, obviously back in September, a lot of companies or developers did go back and check and make sure that those libraries weren't in use. And if they were immediately, or they were supposed to be immediately disabled. Um, and that was kind of the end of it back in September. Okay, so um, they did also upgrade the signatures of the vulnerability or the exploit to like different security scanners that would be able to detect any of the malicious code. So again, so this is now 2 months ago. So everybody kind of did what they had to do and um, and move on with their lives. Or so we thought. And see, I say or so we thought because what can we use for this one? Or so we thought because we get up today and I go ahead and start my day like most days. Actually, no, I'm not even going to say like most days because this was a little bit different because we're a few days out from the holiday. Now, for those folks in the world of cybersecurity, this time can either be very exciting, but for most, it's also very nerve wracking because it just always seems to happen that way, that usually before a weekend or a holiday, like a long weekend or something like that, something always happens, right? Something happens and then everybody's scrambling and having to address the issue and whatever. So um you know got up this morning looking forward to Thanksgiving being Thursday. um Actually stayed up a little bit later than I normally do on a Sunday night because my daughter's home for Thanksgiving. Got to spend time with my family, my beautiful wife, and my children. Um, got to watch what was the name of that? We watched what's it called? Her Fault, or It's Her Fault, or All Her Fault, or whatever the case may be. If you're into um like almost like a murder mystery type thing, I totally recommend it. Definitely uh it was definitely my wife's pick, but started to the show started off a little slow, and then by about episode 4, episode 5, things started to pick up. More details started to come about, and by the end of it, I think I was screaming at the damn TV screen over the different things that were happening and then the revelations about it. So, not to spoil it, got to do that. Also got to watch the latest episode of My Hero Academia, which I'm gonna stay this season is probably the best piece of work that I've seen, like episode to episode, from the story, how they're tying all things together, the movies that some people were debating whether it was canon or not. They're tying all of it in, and definitely bringing the story to a close. So got to watch that. That was something that my daughter and I picked up because she likes the show, and I was watching it with her. So again, caught that this weekend. Watched that. It's All Her Fault or whatever. Like I said, stayed up late, and really looking forward to the Thanksgiving holiday. Um, got up, had some car issues in the morning, but got that stuff dealt with, and then I get into work. And it was funny as I'm working. Fist of the North Star, yeah, of course. Who hasn't seen Fist of the North Star? Like that was like one of the first things I watched when I was a kid, man. Um, But yeah, like I said, I log into work, and it's funny. I log into work, and I got my lo-fi music on, which you can probably hear. And I'm just kind of zoned out doing my work, sending out my emails, testing out my hypotheses and my theories, and doing my lab stuff. And I'm like, man, it's been rather quiet today, right? That's another dark omen. But that was my fault because I wasn't paying attention, and I realized that my Slack was not I was not online on my Slack or my Microsoft Teams. And I go on there, and of course, the first thing I see is, hey, let me know when you got a couple minutes. I said, all right, log on, catch up to one of my clients, and it's hey, you remember the Shy Hulud? I was like, yeah, from back in September, where we checked and made sure that you know we were good. There weren't any code repos or anything like that. So yeah, so well, what about it? So well, it's came back, and this time we think there might be an issue. So again, 2 days or 3 days before Thanksgiving, and here we are. Shai Hulud launches second supply chain attack. This time, Zapier, ENS, Async API, PostHog, and Postman are all compromised. I wish I had the link to like the real time numbers or something like that was going on. One of my colleagues was actually showed us where it was like you could see like the number of compromises going up literally like by the minute. But so essentially so they go into a timeline. So like I said we found it in September, but they actually said they found some stuff back in August. Okay. So it first happened in August. We found it somewhere. I want to say it wasn't August 27th, but it was definitely before September 16th. 'Cause I do remember. I do remember. Sorry, y'all. It looked like I thought I heard something moving. So it did look like. So it was definitely somewhere in between August 27th and September 16th. So this was the first wave. There was some follow-up analysis, and now, as of today, the second strike occurred and is dubbed as the second coming. So this was just before the deadline for revoking old tokens. So again, just kind of give a quick rundown of what Shai Hulud is. It was named after gigantic sandworms in Dune. If you don't remember Dune, mm, actually, I'm not even gonna say that because Dune did just come out with like a sequel or another movie a couple years ago. So I'm not gonna say showing my age, but the original Dune was from a time before probably several of you who are watching. But like I said, it was a self-replicating worm that was built to spread quickly through the different developer environments. And then, like I said, once the system was infected, it would look for any type of secret credential. So this could be API keys, anything that looked like a credential. So tokens using TruffleHog, and then it would publish it to a public GitHub repository, and then it would attempt to push the new copies of itself into npm. So this way, again, giving that's what gave it the worm capabilities, because it would then continue to propagate. Oh, see, got some other stuff going on. I don't know if I'm gonna be included on this call, but if it is, I will have to drop for a little bit. So now now there were a couple differences. So now it looks like it's using a different JavaScript file, and then uses that to execute, which is the actual malicious code. So it definitely looks like it's using different things now. And now there are another geez, I feel like this number went up more. But anyway, what is this? We have a total of 132 monthly downloads. So here are all the packages that are affected. So as you can see, I'm just kind of scrolling, scrolling. So yeah, so because of this, a couple of my clients um, have definitely contacted contacted us in regards to um, the possibility of them being on this list, or not so much them, but the repositories or the packages that they're using being added to this list, in this list. So we've been kind of locked in with that, um, having to deal with that. So again, right now they say there's about 26,000. I want to say this number is actually higher, that are exposed. So again, if you work for any company that deals with any type of applications, you want to go ahead, speak with your developers, and make sure you're not affected. And if you are affected, you should move quickly to remove those libraries, install some type of scanner, like a SAS tool, like a Sneak or something like that, to help you see if you're affected. So I just want to double check. So let's just go ahead and move over here. Let's check out the hacker news. Uh, Same thing. And as you can see, things are constantly moving, which is why it looks like there might be a call, which I did not know of, because if I knew that, I wouldn't have gone on stream. But like I said, so this is the latest and greatest thing right now that's happening in my life, or my professional life, is trying to deal with um, minimizing any exposure that this supply chain attack has on my clients. So that is why, like I said, we had to switch up a little bit. Um, that being said, like I said, I hope everybody's having a great week. I hope everybody has, um, you know, good plans for this week, whether it's Thanksgiving or whatever it is you plan on doing with that time off. Um, Take a moment to get some rest. Relax a little bit, recharge before you head back out. I don't think, uh, well, I don't want to say that either, but if you're gonna go out and do any shopping or anything like that, make sure you do that safely as well. Um, I definitely don't plan on going out and doing any Black Friday shopping for several different reasons, but you know, to each their own. So anyway, yeah. So like I said, so what's everybody else talking about, working on? Let me see. Let's check out the chat. Like I said, so I see that question about Fist of the North Star. Yes, I did. I have watched Fist of the North Star. Shoot, I watched. I think I saw the anime. Like I said, Fist of the North Star or Ninja Scroll had to be, I think, one of the very first like animes that I ever watched. Followed by Dragon Ball or something shortly after that. I know Studio Ghibli stuff was somewhere in between there, but I want to say Ninja Scroll or Fist of the North Star were the first ones, and like I said, I remember that because um, I was introduced to those by my older brother. So, and then I remember they did a a live action version of Fist of the North Star, which at the time I remember feeling like it wasn't bad. So whether or not that still holds true to this day, I don't know. So um what else we got going on the cybersecurity side of things? Let's see. Let's see what else has been going on in it. Like I've been so caught up in like tech and esports stuff so much. I'm trying to see what else is going on in the cyber world that I can break down. I think the only thing that I think the saving grace was that we didn't have a any matches today on the esports side of things with the second split being over. We didn't have any matches. Like I said, we both teams played their last match of split two. Um, Played both their matches of split two back last week, and both teams um, going home with the victories. And by both teams, I mean our Smash Brothers team as well as our Fortnite team. So our Smash Brothers team played on Monday last week, and they took home a W in a 3-0 victory against their opponent. And then our Fortnite team also took home a 3-0 best of five, but they won 3-0 on Friday. And you can actually catch both of those matches on the Alpha Esports and Technology YouTube channel. So, so with that, and then the holiday, we don't have any matches lined up. Typically, we would have had the split two tournament this past Saturday, but because of the holiday season, they wanted to delay it, and it got pushed to December 6th. So we'll actually have trying to find my there we go. So we'll actually have our Fortnite Community Clash as well as our split two playoff tournament both on December 6th. Let's see. I've been working on building my scripting skills while simultaneously doing web app stuff, reading web app arsenal, and Python for security. Plus learning Korean. So yeah, you're definitely staying busy. Web app arsenal. Is that a new book? Yeah, I don't know. I said I have not. I mean, I've got web hacking arsenal. Yeah, I don't. That's oh yeah. Let me know how you like that one. I haven't. What do they cover? Okay, intelligence gathering and enumeration, server side, client side. Okay, cross site request forgery, file system attacks, authentication authorization, single sign-on attacks, business logic. Okay, XXE, SSRF, request smuggling. Hmm. Is there a lab or like a lab environment you can also do you can go along with the book? All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, yes, I did forget about this one. I did forget about this one. There was a. Let me see if I can bring this one up real quick. So um, Krebs on Security wrote this article today that talked about is your Android TV streaming box part of a botnet? I would have to create the lab or use PortSwigger. What do you mean by create the lab? What do you mean by create the lab? Um, hey, how you doing? How you guys doing? Hold on one second, y'all. Looking to play, or just looking? Yeah.
Um, I was just looking when you guys were selling. Honestly, I thought you were so I didn't know.
Oh yeah, no, it's like it's a game. Yeah, we're gaming and share.
How much is it per hour? I mean, I was paying that for rivals.
Right now we're running a special deal with $10 an hour. Yeah. Okay. You guys get your own logins or anything like that?
She does. Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, no, it's all cross progression now. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is our progression now. So yeah, you said rivals. We have Marvel. We have rivals on Steam. So yeah, if you want to log in being account or anything like that, you're not going to.
If I log in to PC,
I think it's your whatever accounts and stuff you have. So, I'm not sure.
we're gonna look at it.
Yeah, I think it's whatever account you're using. Because, like, so I think how it works is you log in with the same account across. Uh, so I think you have to have it. For rivals, I'm not sure. You have to have it. That's it. Yeah.
I'm on Reddit right now. No, that's not what I'm playing. So this was saying
So whatever account has whatever account you play. Cross might be cross directed for console. He might have his own cross directed. I don't know. I don't think about that right now.
yeah, it's alright. We're definitely gonna play them.
Okay.
Do you have the trash can?
Yeah, there's one. There's one over there.
But yeah, they even have controllers over here.
Yes, yeah, controller, board, and
Yeah, I want to we got flags for TV2.
Yeah, I'll turn it down. So most, like I said, so they all pretty much they all run 32 gigs, 50, 60 graphics cards, or whatever. So whatever one you want. Welcome to right now we have our own accounts on here. But if you wanted to, you could just put one change accounts a lot. It'll also work well for that. I'll leave you to it. And like I said, I'll start the clock once you get started. Once you get logged in and stuff.
I appreciate it.
No problem. All right, y'all. So we're gonna make a couple quick changes. I'm gonna hop here. All right. So okay. So you would have to create the lab or use Port Swigger, and then use something like DVWA. Oh, is that what they is that the lab they give you in the book? Because I see they have a GitHub. Yeah, so I see they have a GitHub with the so what are these? Are these the attacks? Okay, so all right, we'll get back to that. So it says the Superbox media streaming devices for sale. May seem like a steal. They offer unlimited access. Wait, since when is Xbox or Best Buy using? They offer unlimited access. Offer a one-time fee. How are these things being sold on Best Buy? Okay, so they're being sold on Walmart. So this is interesting because back in the day, and I'm going to use the word allegedly. So back in the day, they didn't have these little sophisticated boxes. People who were a little tech savvy and knew where to get the answers to certain questions or certain resources used to be able to modify the Android Fire sticks or the Fire boxes, right? So not the giant cube that they have now, but back in the day they used to have to get the Fire stick, and the Fire stick was like 20, 30, was like $30, and then they used to have a Fire box, and it was like a little box, and it was like $100. And people used to modify the software in those boxes to then be able to allegedly stream other things, right? I won't name the name of the program, but you could stream anything. You could stream like the pay-per-view. Like this was back when Floyd Mayweather was still boxing. This is when it became really popular, at least where I was. As Floyd Mayweather was finishing up his career and the boxing pay-per-views, and this is before streaming really took over. So, but as the pay-per-views were getting a little bit more and more expensive, people didn't want to pay for that. They would get these modified Fire sticks or modified boxes, and they would be able to stream the boxing fight, right? Same thing with like movies. They would be able to stream movies that were brand new, some still in theaters and things like that. Now, obviously, that caused a lot of issues, and people got in a lot of trouble for being able to do these things allegedly. So I find it interesting that suit that now they're selling them on websites like Walmart. So I'm curious as to I want to see what one of these super boxes look like. So let's bring up one on the Walmart site. Features Android 12.0 quad core, blah blah blah, connectivity. Yeah, this is wild. I mean, like I said, I mean, granted, this is I don't think this is directly from Walmart. I think this is sold by a third party.
The Superbox S5 Max loaded the latest version of Blue TV. And we keep optimizing streaming
this is
resources.
definitely from a third party. This isn't. I mean, this isn't from Walmart. Obviously, this is so Walmart basically is like doing the whole Amazon thing. Okay. So anyway, all right, let's go back here. So they're basically saying you can stream on a device, and then you'll have access to Netflix, ESPN, and Hulu. Which I mean, everybody's raising their rates right now. I think I got Hulu at one point, and it was like $90, and now I'm paying almost double, more than double now. Same thing. Netflix is always going up. ESPN, they're jumping into streaming stuff. They have like the ESPN and ESPN app, and then there's like ESPN Plus, and now I think there's like ESPN Plus Plus minus or whatever the hell it is. But anyway, they're all of those obviously have a dollar amount behind it. So I mean, the idea of getting access to all of this stuff and for a one-time fee of $400, I mean, that's crazy. Because I mean, when you consider I think the Hulu, the top tier Hulu package, I think is almost $200. Netflix is like what, $25 now or something, or whatever whatever the premium access to Netflix is. So you're paying that a month, right? So whatever that is a year, you're paying almost what, if just off of the Hulu bundle, let's call it 200 for the sake of math. That's 200 by 12. That's 2,400. Am I doing math right? I believe I'm doing math right. So for $400, that seems like a no-brainer. But anyway, security experts warn these TV boxes require intrusive software that forces a user's network to relay internet traffic for others. So, I mean, that's the downside to it. For that convenience or whatever, sometimes you're giving up your security. That can be said about lots of things that happen, not just in technology. But usually people, for convenience, they are willing to give up certain things. That's actually one of the arguments that's one of the, I guess, the sliding scales that we have. Hold on one second. All right, so I'm gonna start you guys. Start the clock from here. No problem. So yeah, I mean that's usually one of the arguments that gets made. Security versus convenience, right? The more secure something is, the less convenient it is, right? Think of something as simple as multi-factor authentication, right? It's so some people look at that as inconvenient, that they have to log in with their username and password and then have to look on an app or get an email or a text message or however you're getting your MFA challenge to then enter that code, right? People find that to be inconvenient, but it's more secure, right? Even if we bring it down to more simpler terms using the same example, um, some people find it inconvenient that they have to remember a password or a passphrase or use something like a password manager that would randomize your login credentials, um, to make the password more secure and harder for criminals to gain access to. But um, when it's easier to just do something like password 123, right? So it's easy, it's more convenient, but now you run the risk of um, being victimized when someone breaches your account. So anyway, so yeah, so people probably see that $400 and they're like, "That's a steal," but you don't know what you're giving up. And according to Krebs, um, hold on, I'm just reading this. Superbox is just like every other Android TV box on the market. We cannot control what software customers will use. Okay, so they're saying that that's how they're getting away with it. Okay, because I was curious about that. So that's how they're getting away with it. They're getting away with it by saying, "Hey, we only sell the device. What you do with it is up to you." Right? So it's kind of like I didn't, I can't use that example because I don't want to get in trouble or get flagged or get, you know, taken down. But it's like, hey, I gave you, I gave you the toy and let you know that this toy has the potential to do irreparable harm. But what you do with it, that's on you. That's got nothing to do with you, right? That's essentially what they're saying. Um, the box itself is just that, right? But if you use any software to be able to circumvent the subscriptions, that's on you. You do so at your own risk, even though they give it to you with the intention of doing that. So, anyway, the blog goes on to say there is nothing illegal about the sale or use of the Superbox itself, which can be used strictly as a way to stream content at providers where users already have a paid subscription. Okay, so again, that's like again using the Fire Stick or the Firebox model. You can log into a Netflix, Hulu, or whatever with your account information, and it's fine. But the only way to watch them for free is to install several apps made for the device that enable them to stream the content. So you see what I'm saying? That's where I'm saying it's like they're telling you, hey, we're giving you the device and we're giving you access or the knowledge of knowing that these things exist, and everybody knows that that's what it's really used for, but we're not telling you to do it. But if you do, eh, you know. So, and Superbox, okay, so it does this because the device does not use official Google certified Android TV system, and because the apps wouldn't load otherwise. Okay, so again, you're essentially using these tools, or you're using this hardware, right, for the purpose of circumventing login credentials and things like that. But you could be allowing attackers to gain access to your network, right? Um, unless you are going to actually go in and read the source code of these applications that are allowing you to stream these things, you don't know for certain if A, by doing that, you are lowering the security in your own network or in your own device. Um, you could be installing what is known as a malicious backdoor, which essentially gives the attacker or the person who wrote the code access to your device. And again, you thinking that you're using this cool feature to allow you to watch these things for free. Um, you also might be the one being watched, at least from the technology that you're using. And yeah, so again, I'm not here to tell you what to do uh, with your device or your security, but as a professional, I would say to be very careful and, you know, just be very careful and very mindful. Um, Again, like I said, they before I would say, it's like ask someone else for their password, but they've locked that down too. And I'm just joking. I'm not gonna say that because you can get in trouble for that as well these days. So, all right, all right. So where are we at now? Oh yeah, let's go back and I'm still curious about this. I want to see what lab, what are they talking about in here? All right, so I'm actually over here at the web hacking arsenal. So as you can see, like I'm all over the place, y'all. Um, I'm double checking my I'm double checking my Teams meeting to make sure that's good. I'm double checking my I'm looking at the stuff about for this book. All right, so let me see. So this is I'm looking at the table of contents. Because again, I'm just curious to see if they have a lab environment for it. So, reason why is because I mean I really like the book. I really like books that have the labs that allow you to do the hands-on because when you're doing stuff like pen testing or hacking or anything like that, it's one thing to kind of understand the logic and understand what the attacks are doing, but it hits home differently when you're able to actually get hands the keyboard and and do the work. So, um, like I said, I just want to see here. All right. Let's look at one of their attacks. Insecure deserialization. Okay, here. Let's go to this one. Will you? Okay, it's not a okay. Didn't think it would give us access because it's a sample, but trying to see if it'll give us access to any of their attack information. I mean, cross-out request forgery is kind of old. Okay, no, they won't let. Okay, so all right, y'all. Well, we're not able to test that, but like I said, I hope there is a lab environment, and I mean, BWAP. If you're gonna look at, if you're gonna look at a lab environment, Ty, I think BWAP is old. I don't think BWAP has been updated in a long time. Still, I mean, it's still a good one to use, but I just don't. I don't know when was the last time BWAP was. When was the last time BWAP was even updated? Okay, so it looks like 3 years ago they made a Docker. They made a Docker version of BWAP, or somebody did, I should say. Excuse me. How about Bbox? Yeah. Okay. So I would say if you're gonna do BWAP, you probably won't be able to do all the attacks. Think I don't think BWAP has all the attacks on there. Let's see: SQL injection, cross-site scripting, cross-site tracing, cross-site request forgery, Ajax and web services. Oh well, maybe. Oh, maybe it is. Okay, the SourceForge file says 2014 was the last time it was changed. So you're talking 11 years now. And then I think DVWA was looks like there have been some updates. I mean, they have updates as early as last month. Documentation from 2 years ago. So yeah, so DVWA looks like it's more. It's been updated more recently. So just and here I'll just show you. Now, like I said, me personally, I would say do both, just because I'm a little obsessed and crazy like that at times. But like I said, DVWA is a good one. Looks like BWAP. I'll go here. BWAP is another good one. I'll maximize the screen so y'all can see it better. But yeah, so you have BWAP and then DVWA. So those are two. There's also other ones that you can do. There's Matilda Day. I know Matilda Day is still has been. Well, Matilda Day is not has been recently, but I mean you also have Try Hack Me, which I mean, regardless of what they're doing, what they got going on right now with their advent of cyber, like they got some interesting stuff here. Again, on just manually reviewing or manually walking an application, content discovery, subdomain enumeration. Here, let me make sure I maximize this again so you can see the whole thing. So yeah, subdomain enumeration, authentication bypass, IDORs, file inclusion, intro to server-side request forgery. I don't know why I just like drew blank there, but they have that. They have those. They also have Matilda Day, but then also you also have the Web Security Academy. So you definitely have a bunch of different options to choose from. Like I said, when we get back to doing the AppSec rabbit hole, which is very soon, we'll be doing stuff in Try Hack Me and the Web Security Academy, and I'll probably also use Matilda Day, just because I want to go back into showing people how to build their own testing environment. So make sure we're good. what are what are my thoughts on what's going on with the advent of cyber? Um, I I feel like I don't want to pile on because according to Josh, who um, who brought it up, hold on. According to Josh, who brought it up, um, it appears that they have responded in a way that is positive. So I don't want to um, essentially, you know, bring up a sore subject again. But and I just realized that I misspelled something in there. So yeah, like I said, just looking at what Josh said, he said he paused any additional comments because there were some negative responses, and Try Hack Me has responded, and whatever they said or whatever conversation they had, um, he felt was um, a positive response. So again, I don't want to, rehash an old subject, but I do feel like that there maybe there was a miscommunication. So for those who don't know, Try Hack Me, every year they do an event called the Advent of Cyber. It's like 25, 26 days, 28 days of different cybersecurity challenges. Um, and as of a few years ago, they started reaching out to different cybersecurity content creators to to do a walkthrough, help promote the event, um, and um, show their methodology when they solve the challenges. And like I said, you have everybody in the cybersecurity field from um, John Hammond to John Breath to even me, right? I think I did 2023. As a matter of fact, I did kind of briefly add fuel to the fire, but it wasn't intentional. It was because it was a legitimate uh, issue, and I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, I think what ended up happening at that time was, here. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, so I did the Advent of Cyber in 2022. Wow. So here, let me see if I can share it.
I could actually practice my aim on here. But I feel like she's like the most raw aim.
All right, so
What's up, everybody? It's Davin Jackson, also known as D-Jax, here from Alpha Cybersecurity, and I'm here to present day 14 of Try Hack Me's Advent and Cyber event. Before I get started, I want to say a huge thank you to Try Hack Me for asking me to be a part of this. I'm super honored and super excited to be doing this alongside some great people in the industry, and most importantly, helping people get familiar with cybersecurity right in time for Christmas. So before we get started, please remember to like this video, comment in the section below, and subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, let's get right into the story. So today's challenge is going to focus on the CI/CD and why it's great, but more importantly, what happens when it's not configured properly. So let's get right into it.
All right, so first of all, that guy looks amazing. It's crazy what 3 years can do. 3 years opening up a center, lifing. I need to get back to that guy. Oh man, that's crazy. But yeah, like I said, this was 3 years ago now. So yeah, this was 2022. Jeez.
Okay, so now that we have our challenge up, let's get right into the story. It says McDev, the head of the dev team, sends an alarming email saying that they're unable to update the.
So anyway, that is essentially um what they started doing. Oh wow, like it. I'm sorry, I can't get over it. Maybe because I need a haircut. Maybe because I need a haircut. I have an appointment with my
Alongside
barber
some great
tomorrow.
people in the industry, and most importantly, helping people get familiar with cybersecurity right in time for Christmas. So before we get started, please remember to like this video, comment in the section below, and subscribe
That's crazy.
to the channel. And with that being
That's crazy. That's crazy. I gotta get back to it, man. Like looking at this is like looking. Look, see, I don't even get no sleep. I'm also getting the bug bounty again, trying to build my skills to take off. Things are slow. Yep, that's I think that's all across the board. But yeah. So anyway, the advent of cyber, they started reaching out to different content creators to offer them the opportunity to do the solves, solve the challenges on their platforms. And it's funny because, and like I said, I took some time because I wanted to double check and look, but like I said, at the time they offered this handsome devil, the opportunity to do that, and um, said it would be a good look. But anyway, I ain't tripping. Like I said, it's been 3 years. But anyway, they recently came out with the latest advent of cyber lineup, and it is an amazing lineup. I ain't even gonna hold you. It is an amazing lineup. You got so many different people in the cybersecurity community that are going to be involved in it. And I mean, you got John Hammond, you got Ryan Montgomery, you got Marcus Hutchins, you got Day, Cyberwalks. Day is knowing where Day started and where he is now is amazing. You got Talking Sasquatch. You got so many here. Let's see. You got so many different people. Like I said, you're not going to really be able to make out the list because it is rather small. And if you zoom in too much, but like I said, you get like John Hammond, Ryan Montgomery. I'm just off of people who I know. Like I said, Marcus, Day, Bearded IT Dad. I mean, I know several of these people. Talking Sasquatch. There's so many people here that, like I said, I know and can speak to that are awesome. But they, as you can see, there weren't any women added to the advent of cyber. Now, in past years, to shoot try hacking some bail, and past years they have had several women participate in their advent of cyber. Katie Paxton Fear comes to mind. So this year it was a bit surprising to see that there weren't Hey, I appreciate it, man, but I was not the most awesome. I did get some feedback saying that mine was some of the easiest to kind of follow through, which I mean, I take that with great pride, just because try to make um, I try to make my cybersecurity education um, easily easy to relate to, and easy to follow. Um, so again, not, but definitely not on the level of these guys, especially not now. You know, after all these years of me stepping away to build my center. So I appreciate the compliment though. But anyway, like I said, it was definitely surprising to see that there weren't any women involved in this year's Advent of Cyber, and it's to my understanding that um, this wasn't done intentionally. That this was that they did reach out to some, but they declined. So um, you know, I guess you can't fault him for that. If, like I said, if that's their response, or if that's the truth. Um, I know one person in particular, one woman, Dr. Katie Paxton Fear. She actually replied to the thread and said she was offered a spot this year, but she declined because of some other issues that she said came to her attention. So, and then also, but the one thing that she did say, which is what kind of got my attention, was because Katie then goes on to say, and I'll show here, some winners did not get prizes. Some creators were unpaid, and some were paid very low compared to others. So that part right there kind of threw me for a loop, because it was kind of like, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. Hold on. So yeah, that one kind of threw me for a loop, because it was like, hold on there. I don't believe that to be the case. You got paid, right? And it makes me think of this scene here. Hold on.
Lose a $500,000 payday, all right? And if you think I'm gonna lose a $500,000 payday because of one of Kenny's boo-boos, then you're out of your goddamn mind.
Whoa, wait a second. You're making $500,000 on this deal?
Roughly.
I cannot believe you.
Rose, listen to me. I can explain.
You are making $500,000 and you were only gonna pay me 30? You're getting 30 grand? I'm getting 1,000!
You guys are getting paid?
You're lying.
That's how I felt. That's how I felt, right? I'm gonna run it back again. That's how I felt.
Roughly.
I cannot believe you.
Rose, listen to me. I can explain.
You are making $500,000 and you were only gonna pay me 30? You're getting 30 grand? I'm getting 1,000!
You guys are getting paid?
Yeah, that was me. That was me. So when I saw some creators were unpaid, or some were paid very low compared to others, like my initial response was literally like, wait, you got paid? Now again, they could have changed up the model. It's been 3 years, so I'm not really tripping about it. And I think I also didn't really want to bring anything up at the time because that wasn't the place for it. Um, that I think it's important to focus on one thing at a time, and the thing at that time is the fact that there are several women who are awesome and should be included if they weren't included. And then Josh goes on to actually name a few. So you have Rihanna Schultz, who runs the founder of Cyberspeak Labs. She's awesome. Alita Dennis, also awesome. Rana Khalil, I cannot speak enough about Rana. Rana, shoot, Ty, you talking about you're doing web app stuff. I would go look up Rana Khalil's stuff on YouTube. Like she has stuff on web app hacking, and I remember following Rana when she kind of first when she first at least came onto my radar. I don't want to say jumped on the scene, but when she first got on my radar with content, and I remember trying to get Rana to do InfoSec Unplugged, and at the time she, for whatever reason, didn't really want to create content like that or really be, get on do the show, and I respected it, but I still remain a fan of hers. I'm still a fan of hers this day. Like, she's awesome what she got going on and how she built her her training community and stuff. Caitlin Sarion, cybersecurity girl, she's another great one. There's so many different practitioners that they could have reached out to speak to cybersecurity and participate in the advent of cyber. So again, shout out to Josh Mason for using his platform to bring light to this, and shout out to everybody who commented and participated in a positive way, because it appears TryHackMe has I guess addressed the issue and resolved it for now. So we'll see what happens. I do have some other thoughts, but I'm gonna leave it at that, because like I said, it seems like the issue's been handled, and like I said, they hopefully are going to move in the right direction. So yeah, let me just take a quick look at my messages over here to make sure that nothing has changed on the work front, and it does look like it's quiet. I do want to come back and check out this guy again, yo. It's crazy. 2022. So this is the height of InfoSec. So this is InfoSec Unplugged, I think. So this is literally weeks before I announced. This is weeks before I announced that I was going to open up Alpha Esports Technology. That's crazy. That's wild. I'm glad you were on there. My family watched things, please. Positive imagery. Like I said, I appreciate it, man. That was one of the reasons why I did it. That's the reason that was one of the reasons that they gave me for doing it, was to kind of help bring more exposure. So again, like I said, it is what it is. I definitely get paid for those opportunities now, or if those opportunities come up, I definitely know to get paid and to negotiate my worth now. But back then it was just more about getting it out there. So, like I said, I'm not tripping about it. I just found it to be funny. But again, there's a time and place for everything. So, you rewatch my old stuff. Oh man, I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. It was funny. I was actually at a college I was speaking at a college last week, and someone said, one of the college students there. I don't know how they found me, but yeah, they were. They brought it up, and they're like, "Yeah, man, I watch a lot of your old stuff. When are you going to be doing new stuff?" So, I'll tell you what. If I'm going to be doing anything new, I need to try to get back to. I need to get back to looking like that guy. I need to get back to looking like this guy over here. Like if I'm gonna get back behind the camera, I need to look fresh like that guy again. That's for damn sure. Because this, hold on, make sure because this guy is exhausted. This guy is exhausted. This guy is overweight. This guy's beard is a lot more gray than it was, and obviously it's a lot shorter. You know what's funny? So I'm gonna talk just kind of. So and I know he's probably watching it. And shout out to Knowledge. I mean, he's been my barber pretty much since I moved down here from up north. But I went to him. Geez, now probably about a month ago, and I said, I want to cut down the beard a little bit, right? It was me and my son was there. So, man, I need to cut down my beard a little bit, right? At that point, it was getting way too long. And I was like, I need to cut it down a little. He said, where do you want to cut? So there was another guy in the other barber's chair. Shout out to Phil. And I said, it needs to be shorter. And I want to say my barber looked at me and said, like mine? And then I said, nah. So you know what? Somewhere between yours and his. He was like, all right, I got you. So we're sitting in the chair, whatever. I'm in the chair talking to my son. And I remember he's cutting. And at one point, I felt the guard of the clippers like hit my chin. And that felt weird to me because I can't tell you the last time I've actually felt like a clipper guard, right? You know what I'm saying? Like I'll feel like my hand or whatever, like a comb or whatever, but like the clipper guard. And I remember that and going, if I could feel that, that's way too close. And yeah, sure enough, it definitely was a lot shorter. Like I remember going home, like my wife was laughing, my daughter was mad. But so I've been on a mission to kind of grow it back. Like I said, it's been a month now, and I guess the process is slowing up now. That's the crazy thing. Like before, I could cut my beard, and like 2-3 weeks later, we're back. But like I said, it started to look like I felt like I looked like an old James Harden at the time. So trying to see what's up. So yeah, man. Just yapping at this point. But yeah, like I said, shout out to Ty. Appreciate you, rewatching. Shout out to everybody who stopped to see me at the college last week as well, to ask for advice or what have you. So yeah, but yeah, hopefully we'll get back to AppSec rabbit hole and stuff. I'm holding on to say whether or not we're gonna bring back InfoSec Unplugged at its full capacity. I say full capacity because InfoSec Unplugged will definitely be back. I just don't want to be inconsistent with it, right? Like if I'm going to commit to doing InfoSec Unplugged, um, whatever that commitment is, I want to be able to honor that commitment, right? I don't want to do like an episode of InfoSec Unplugged and then you don't see me for 3 months and then come back and then you don't see me. You know what I'm saying? So whatever capacity I bring back InfoSec Unplugged, whether it's once a week, twice a month, you know what I'm saying? Whatever. I want to make sure that there's that the space is there to bring it back. And then also, I think one of the regrets I have with InfoSec Unplugged was that it didn't, although it had massive impact, I do feel like there were some missed opportunities to maximize that impact, partly because you're working full time. I'm working full time and I'm still a father. I'm still a husband. I'm still, all of these other things. And then I went and decided I was going to open up another business because InfoSec Unplugged is a property owned by Alpha Cybersecurity, which is my other cybersecurity education business. So now Alpha Esports Technology essentially is another business. So now I'm running two businesses while working full time, while raising two children, while being a husband, and trying to be great or above average on all of those things, and not let anything fall flat. So because of that, I do feel like InfoSec Unplugged, there were several different visions or ideas that I had for it, or things that I wanted to do to help it to grow. Getting it out there and editing more, breaking down the content for social media and stuff like that, doing the audio version of it. There were a lot of opportunities that I just feel like were missed, and that falls on me. So when InfoSec Unplugged comes back, because I'm not gonna say it's not, but whatever version of InfoSec Unplugged comes back, whether it's like I said, whether it's not in person, whether it's live, whether it's pre-recorded, whether it's once a week, whether it's, twice a month, whatever the case may be, I want it to be in the right. I want all the other pieces to be on the board, right? So we are working on building out that platform to record, and then from record get the clips broken down, and then so we have the clips, but while we're doing that, we're waiting for the editing to be done so that we can then put it out as an audio podcast as well as the video podcast, and then determine where everything is going to live, right? Because one of the last things I had worked on before pausing everything is we built the InfoSec Unplugged channel, right? Or the InfoSec Unplugged. I'm not going to reveal that one just yet because I'm still working on that. But basically the concept was that we would go live on one platform. We would go live on Alpha Cybersecurity, but then the catalog would probably be somewhere else. So that is something that we were working on and trying to figure out. And then, like I said, we definitely wanted to explore the opportunities that we had with Alpha Esports and Technology. And like I said, I can only do one thing at a time. I haven't been able to figure out how to clone myself or hack time to get the 25th hour. So I can only do what I can do. And like I said, now that Alpha Esports Technology seems to be in a place where it doesn't need me to be hands-on with every single thing, I can probably now get back to, AppSec Rabbit Hole and InfoSec Unplugged. So 2026 is going to be exciting, as long as I can do something with this mug right here. My concern is losing my dream. If you say I don't want to lose it, building the skills, push it back through. My concern is I don't want to lose it, building the skills, push it back through. No, I get it. It's smart to stay sharp, right? Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I mean, I still do a lot of labbing, but that's also because that's my vision, right? I already knew the next phase of my cybersecurity career was going to be in the consulting and the training space. I feel like that's the best way to give back, is to help train the next generation so that they have the skills and the knowledge, but they also have someone who's been there to kind of tell them how to avoid some of the pitfalls and some of the mistakes that I made along the way. So I knew. So because of that, obviously I can't teach a subject if I don't know it. And with cybersecurity, as you know, it's always changing. Things are always changing. So because of that, you got to keep your skills. You got to keep your skills up to date, right? Like I when I was at the college last week, I actually said something similar, and I used the example of Moore's law, right? And just to show you how fast or how things change. Moore's law, for those who don't know, Moore's law states that a piece of technology becomes obsolete after every so often, right? So when I got into tech originally, Moore's law stated that technology changes every 18 months. Then that changed from like 18 to like 12 to 18 months. Now then it was like 6 to 18 months. Now it's even shorter, right? So that just goes to show you how fast technology is changing. Technology is changing so fast that Moore's law that says technology changes is changing, if that makes sense. It's like we are in the inception of like changes, right? So you have, like I said, when I got started 20 something, almost 20 years ago, it was Moore's law changes every 18 months. Then it went down. Then it was, like I said, then it was like 12 to 18, then it was 6 to 18, then it was 6 to 12. Now it's even faster now. And now you add AI in the picture, it could be weeks now. Like we were talking on a panel with a bunch of different professionals, and someone said, where do you see technology going in 5 years? And I think all of us kind of laughed, but it was like a nervous laugh, because at this point 5 years is too far out. I mean, you can blink in this 5 years, but 5 years in terms of technology is too far. We need to figure out what's going on in the next 12 months, in the next 18 months. So I say that to say, whatever your profession is, whatever it is you do, you stay on top of it. Don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to adjust, right? Everything is about AI now, but 2-3 years ago, it was the cloud. Everything was about the cloud, right? So now I went from, oh my gosh, the cloud, everything's going to be taken, everything's going to go on the cloud, and the cloud, and people who work in the cloud is going to take all the on-prem jobs. Now, what ended up happening with that was, like I said, the cloud actually opened up several more jobs. And now, same thing with AI, right? AI, there will be jobs that are going to be lost. Actually, AI, there's going to be a couple things that's going to happen. There are going to be several jobs are going to be lost in the beginning, and then they're going to realize that when that bubble bursts, they're going to realize that some of those jobs can't be replaced by AI fully. So because of that, they are going to make certain changes to it and bring back certain jobs. They're already doing a lot of that now behind the scenes, but there are also several jobs that are getting that are being terminated and won't come back. None more easier or that aren't coming back. I got to tell folks, like, right now, level 1 help desk roles will probably be completely gone, not even outsourced, completely gone in the next 18 months to 2 years. Just from a business standpoint, I think y'all have heard me say this before, but just from a business standpoint, if you can train an AI automation, right? So you build an AI chatbot that works, that has an automation behind it, something similar to like N8N or something like that, that essentially you can just create a bunch of if-else statements and go through the process of level 1 help desk troubleshooting. They're going to do that in a heartbeat, because now they don't have to worry about insuring that person. They don't have to worry about employing that person. They don't have to worry about paying unemployment insurance or none of that stuff for that person, right? They just have to build the infrastructure and maintain that infrastructure, and they'll do that. So again, don't be afraid to pivot. Don't be afraid to upgrade your skills and constantly improve. That's where I see it. Like I said, right now they're gonna try to figure out how many jobs they can get rid of, and when it comes back to bite them in the ass for several of those roles, they'll be back, right? So that's where I see where I see certain things happening. Would I take a government role? It depends on the government role. Right now, like a government contractor role, yes, I would, in a heartbeat. Well, I shouldn't say in a heartbeat. Obviously, it would have to make sense. It would have to make sense logically. It would have to make sense financially, obviously. But yeah, I would probably do it as a contractor or as a consultant. Shoot, I was approached by a 3-letter agency last week, and they asked me if I was looking for work, and I told them only if it was like a 1099, and they were like, "No, we'll bring you in as a W-2. I mean, you'll have to take a pay cut probably," which more than likely I would. But yeah, for that government role, yeah, it would have to be a contractor role. Like I said, as a consultant. I don't know if I would do a full-time W-2 employee role again. If I did, it would probably be after Alpha Esports and Technology is open, running smoothly, and I'm no longer running the day-to-day operations. Reason being is because I know several, in conversations I've had with several people who are working in the government space right now, they have certain requirements that I would not be able to meet or honor. One being not having any outside work or like a side hustle. And this is way more than a side hustle. This is a complete business, a complete functioning operation. And yeah, I'm not giving this up. I'm not giving it up unless I'm ready to give it up. Let's put it that way, right? Um, we just celebrated 2 years. Um, we just celebrated 2 years. It wasn't a smooth 2 years. It was a very tumultuous 2 years, but we did celebrate 2 years nonetheless. And year three looks to be less tumultuous and more successful. Right now, it's projected to be less tumultuous, more successful. So there's no reason for me to want to give that up right now. I don't. So in order for me to take on a role, they would have to honor and accept the fact that I do have this, that um, this is my priority, you know? Now, they come with the right offer or the right package. I'm willing to change the list of priorities, but this is still going to be a part of my outside branding. Speaking of branding, the other thing that I'm noticing companies and other organizations are doing is that they either want you to stop, like I said, they want you to stop your side hustles. So that means anything that you own, businesses, intellectual property, content, you know, they either want it to stop or they want a piece of it. Another y'all may have remembered when I was doing stuff for another company, creating content over there. Like there was a whole fight over who owned what and who did what, you know, like, or how that worked. Eventually, we came to a compromise, which is why you saw me over there at that other spot. But there was definitely a lot of legal paperwork that dictated how that content was, who owned the content, when they owned the content, and how the content could be used monetarily. There was a lot of different things that was going on. So a lot of companies don't want to deal with that. And like I said, anybody who wants me is going to get me. InfoSec Unplugged is, as it stands, InfoSec Unplugged is not for sale. Alpha Cybersecurity is not for sale. Alpha Esports and Technology is not for sale. I'm not giving up my intellectual property. You do not own piece of InfoSec Unplugged or anything like that. If I decide to create content for you, then the content that is created for you will be for you. And you're just, you know, using my name recognition. That's crazy to even say now, but you're using my name recognition to help elevate your platform. But that does not mean I cannot create content or I cannot do anything under the Alpha Cybersecurity or InfoSec Unplugged or Alpha Esports Technology banners. So to be fair to these companies or the government, going back to your question, you know, I totally understand if they don't want to have to deal with all of that, because it is a package. It's not a package deal. Like you don't get me in InfoSec Unplugged. Like somebody tried it. I won't say who, but somebody did try it. And when I told them no, and then they're like, okay, well, we want to create another podcast. Can we create another podcast? And I was like, well, what are you thinking? And they're like, oh, it can be this live stream podcast where you interview people live. And I was like, so you want InfoSec Unplugged, but you don't want the name. You want me to basically recreate InfoSec Unplugged, right? Because I won't give you InfoSec Unplugged. You want me to create another version of InfoSec Unplugged. Yeah, that's not happening. right? So, so stuff like that. Like I said, it's just there's a lot of different things that are in play, and like I said, I have lawyers and documents and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, so I hope that answered the question about government. Like I said, if it's just, hey, I need you to do X for this department, um, then sure, right? If it's hey, we want you to come. Hold on. If it's yeah, we want you to come work for us, and that's it. Your 9 to 5 is here. These are your responsibilities. You can do whatever you want as long as you're not, um, disparaging, doing anything that's going to disparage us or make us look negative. Then fine, right? I would never do anything to make the person that I represent or work for look bad anyway, because especially I work for myself. I'm my own brand. I'm not going to do anything to tarnish my own brand. So why would I do it to tarnish yours if I'm a part of that brand? Am I planning for the OSCP? No. No, I am not. I don't plan for the OSCP. I don't plan to do OSCP. Now, nah, I don't. If I were to do it, it would just be probably just for like my own purposes, right? Like I don't at this point in my career, um I don't see the need for it, right? um I've experienced OSCP. I've uh famously or notoriously failed the OSCP. Geez, what is that now? 8 years ago. Um, and then as I was preparing for it again, the old version got leaked. But then shortly after that, I took the G Pen from Sands and passed it. And at the time, the G Pen was considered to be more advanced than the OSCP. And then I just kind of stayed there. So yes, at this point, I don't see a need career-wise for me to go back and take the OSCP. If I were to take the OSCP, it would be just for the love of the game, essentially. Um, I'm especially now in the AppSec space. Um, I would probably focus more in that space. I would probably focus on whatever if they have any. What I know they OffSec has something in the web app space. Um, I would probably be more interested in taking that. Obviously, with AppSecs and APIs and stuff like that, I would be interested in that. And obviously, with AI pen testing becoming more and more of a thing, I would take that. And again, it's not so much for me like to advance my career. I'm not going to say not to advance my career, because even as a consultant, I still need to make sure I'm up to par and up to date with the skills and the knowledge, so that I can sell my services. But I definitely don't see myself leaving the AppSec space anytime soon. And AI, in my opinion, at least in my roadmap, AI falls under that AppSec umbrella. So any certifications that I do get would be in that space. So web, mobile, API, AI. That would be it. Only other certification that I would say, I guess you could say I would double back to get, is if I had to get the Security Plus again, but that's also because I teach Security Plus. so I keep up with the new versions of that exam so I can teach it to my students. As far as OSCP is concerned, I feel like there are there's more than enough content out there to prepare for the OSCP. There wasn't when I was doing it, but there's more than enough now. And then there's also other certifications that I do feel like could also help as well. You got the PMPT. Shout out to TCM Security. Like I said, you got the PMTB. I think they got the PJPT, which is like the entry level, junior level one. So there's a bunch of different certs and stuff out there. Someone said, I'm trying to get out of these entry level roles to find something to step up. I still have a lot to learn. So what I would do, honestly, is I would find ways to help AI work with you. Right? So figure out how to utilize AI to help you with your day-to-day functions, and then but then also pay attention to see if AI can do every aspect of your job. If AI can do every aspect of your job with minimal hallucinations and minimal mistakes, I would be concerned, because that means as the next versions of Chat GPT or whatever come out, the number of hallucinations and the number of mistakes will also decrease. So if you are in an entry-level role, find something that you can improve on that is considered not entry-level or somewhat advanced in the next 3 to 6 months. It doesn't have to be a whole new skill. It can be something. It can be something small, right? So if you work in regular help desk, learn how to navigate Active Directory in the next 3 to 6 months, right? Something simple like that, right? If you work with on-prem stuff, start implementing the cloud environments. All the cloud stuff is free. AWS is free. GCP is free, at least to start out in, right? I think the entry-level AWS certification is still free, right? So make minor adjustments. I think, and I'm victim of this too. We create these goals and we feel like the goal has to be this enormous thing, right? The goal has to be this massive undertaking. And because of that, we easily get discouraged and walk away from the whole thing, the whole project, as opposed to saying, I'm going to learn X today, or I'm going to learn X in the next month. And then I'm going to learn Y in the next month or the next month and a half. That's how I've been approaching things, because with my workload being what it is, working full time, so taking on those projects and dealing with that stuff, and again, sometimes dealing with multiple clients, because that's the nature of the beast when you work for yourself and you're a consultant. Sometimes you're gonna have multiple clients, especially if you're really chasing a bag. Dealing with that, and then building a business from the ground up with little to no support, in the sense of professional or corporate partnerships or anything like that. Being this, a bootstrap, built from the ground up business, that it comes with its challenges. And then when you're dealing with the client the current climate that we're in, and nothing political, but just from a standpoint of financially and stuff like that. I mean, typically when times get tough financially, the first thing that goes is the entertainment budget. Gaming is seen as a form of entertainment, so therefore, but like I said, my point is, because of that, I would have these enormous goals that I would try to take on, right? Like, we just celebrated that we got our STEM accreditation, and that we actually won a Best in STEM award for our content, our curriculum. That content, that curriculum was probably 2.5 to 3 years in the making, because I was working on curriculum like this before I opened the center, because Alpha Esports Technology originally was going to be an online community, and we were going to do things over Discord and Zoom and things like that. But then after COVID, I started to realize that, kids were suffering, and one thing that they lacked more than the attention span, was that interaction, that face-to-face interaction, that social element of being in person with friends. And that's why we went and opened up a physical space. But this curriculum, these ideas, these were things in the making. And like I said, technology constantly changing. We had to go back and tweak it. I've been looking to do STEM and cybersecurity based content for years now. Like I said, years. And
Oh my gosh, I kept slamming that.
it was always the different iterations, right? I used to have conversations with Eric Bellardo, for those who are in the cybersecurity field. But I used to have conversations with Eric Bellardo all the time, and he used to yell at me. He's like, "Why are you trying to do it to this standard? Why are you trying to do it to match up to NIST or CompTIA or whatever the case may be? You have the knowledge, put out the content." And I was like, it has to be perfect. It has to be right. And because of it, it just got delayed, and then I would get discouraged, and then it would never happen. So what I ended up started doing was, I was like, okay, I want to I want to build a module on compliance. I want to build a module on AI. I want to build a module on cloud. And I would build out these modules, and then I would say, okay, cool, I'm giving myself a week to build out these modules. And these modules aren't super long. These modules are probably 90 minutes to 2 hours of lecture and hands-on work, right? So that's nothing. So now once I did that, boom. Now I look at all of it. I look at the curriculum. It's my curriculum. I'm not stealing anything from anybody or anything like that. Not that I would do it anyway, but again, you want to make sure that your stuff is legit. And now I put out the Tech Exploration Club, and that turned into its thing. So my whole rant now is to just basically say, don't look at the grand goal, the grand scheme that you want to do, and figure out how you can break it up into smaller chunks, and then take those smaller victories to help you get to that overall victory. Y'all are all set?
Yeah.
All right, let me get y'all squared away. Hold on one second, y'all. I'm all right. Let me go on mute real quick. All right, sorry, y'all. Awesome. Like I said, it's always awesome to get new customers in here for the first time and get their feedback. So, yeah, man. Like I said, just switch up your goal. Just switch up how you're doing the goals, man. I think, especially again, I've talked about this to the point of no return that we be, I'm trying to figure out how I want to say this. We put so much on ourselves as people, as a specific group of people, and as cybersecurity professionals, or people who want to succeed in cybersecurity, that we fight really hard to check all the boxes. And in doing so, you know, that imposter syndrome kicks in, burnout, all of that, right? We deal with it a lot. And like I said, it stunts our growth. Like I said, the one thing I've learned in this whole process of being one foot in with cybersecurity, and then being one foot in with running my own business and running my own, just doing my own thing, is that no one cares how fast you accomplish the goal, unless it's deadline driven, right? So when I say unless it's deadline driven, like if you have a job and they're like, hey, we need this done for compliance purposes by Friday or within the next 90 days, that's deadline driven, right? But for your personal goals, no one cares. No one cares, right? We put that added pressure on us to say, I'm going to get the OSCP in 3 months. I'm going to learn bug bounty, or I'm going to learn pen testing in the next 6 weeks. You know what I'm saying? We put that pressure on ourselves. At the end of the day, if you want to learn something that's going to help yourself improve, like I said, you can set a goal, right? And then break it down in chunks. No one's going to judge you any more or any less. I mean, some people will say, oh man, that's impressive. It's not going to give you any extra money if you get certified in 3 months versus 6 months. Again, unless it's deadline driven, right? So for example, when I got my CISSP, the company that I was working for, they needed a certain number of CISSPs. So they said, whoever can get their CISSP by the end of, I think it was like by the end of November, anybody who can get their CISSP by the end of November, we'll give an extra we'll give you a $500 bonus. Okay, that's deadline driven, right? But other than that, when they look at my CISSP, if an employer looks at my CISSP, or a client or a potential client of mine looks at my CISSP, they don't look at it to say, oh, he got it in 8 months. He got it in 6 months. For the record, I said, I think I got my CISSP in 5 months, because I think I started it in June. But you know what I'm saying? No one looks at it and go, oh, you got it in 5 months. That's great. Here's an added $50,000 a year because you got your CISSP, and no one gives a shit. Do you have it? Can you speak to it? Are you qualified in all of the elements of the CISSP? That matters. So I say that to say, break down whatever goal you're working on into chunks, right? You said you're doing bug bounty. All right. Focus on recon for a month or until you get it. Then focus on, and when I say focus on, like focus on the recon process, then focus on maybe automating it. Boom. Then focus on, validation and analysis, or analysis and validation and exploitation. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't pile it all on, right? Like, we getting too old for this, man. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like, we getting too old for it. People are dropping at a massive clip, and the last thing we need to do is like fall out because we didn't understand how a fucking exploit worked. And excuse my French, but again, I'm passionate about it, or I speak like that because these are things that I wish I would have told myself, and that would have saved me a lot of hurt, stress, and hospital visits, right? That I'm still paying for in more ways than one all of these years later. And again, this is another reason why I focus on teaching people how to do it a certain way, because I want them to get to those levels of success without all of the issues that came with it for me. See what I'm saying? So that's my thing, is break it down how you need to break. Because at the end of the day, the job's not unless a job is requiring you to have it by a certain time frame, then again, that's deadline driven. But if you're doing it for your personal growth, do what you got to do at work to maintain that. Keep that money, keep that going, because let's keep it real. The finances in the household as a provider, whether you're a husband or a parent or both, that matters, right? And especially in this economy. So keep whatever you need to keep secure. That's gonna keep the lights on. Keep that up, but take your time with the other stuff and slowly improve. Slowly get better every day. No one's chasing how fast you got to it, right? Unless, like I said, unless it's something deadline driven, or unless you're doing something where you have to strike while the iron's hot. Like content is something that you have to do. Like, I can't create, like we talked about the Hulud. I can't talk about the Hulud attack or the Hulud exploit 6 months from now when it's no longer relevant. Yeah, I got to speak on it today because it's out there. So I have to show and prove that that cyber ladder moves up. Yeah, you have to show and prove. Yeah, you have to show and prove. I didn't say you didn't have to show and prove. But do you show and prove? You have to show and prove. Right? Because you got to be able to speak to your skills. Do you show and prove? But how can you show and prove if you don't fully understand it? That's my point. Take your time to fully understand it. No one's rushing you. Right? I can't go out here and teach. I can't go out here if I didn't understand like API stuff or whatever, or how the API vulnerabilities work. I can't teach it. I can't speak to it. That's showing improving. Otherwise, congratulations. You're a paper tiger. You're a paper sort of, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. I you know what I'm saying? Like I keep talking about the when I was at the college last week, like that, like these are things that we talk about, because it's like, great, congratulations, you got a degree, cool. Can you speak to it? I've talked about it when I was working in the corporate world before, years ago. But when I was working in the corporate world, and like I said, we interviewed a young man who came in and he was like, "Oh yeah, I got my degree in this and blah blah blah, and I know all there is to know about web application security," but he couldn't tell me how SQL injection works. Right? You can read the book time and time, and you can read the book over and over again, know it from back, know it from front to back. You can highlight the bullet points that resonate and all of that. Great. Put your hands on the keyboard and show me, right? Again, I don't believe in not giving the poet of the gem, not giving them their just due. Ty Wilson always, the keyboard and mouse don't lie. Right? I've always said the certifications and degrees will get you noticed and get you interviews and possibly even get you the job, but it's those skills that's going to get you paid. So yeah, you're going to have to show and prove, but you got to know your shit to show and prove. Otherwise, you're just speaking in theory. You're speaking about the theory. I can explain the theory of broken object level authorization, or BOLA or IDOR all day. I can, in theory, what happens is it's a flaw that it's an access flaw that allows you to access the private information of another user. Okay, great. Show me how it's done. So when you're taking your time to understand it, you're also taking your time to be able to execute it. And I'm telling you, we live because we're impatient. We're impatient with ourselves. We're impatient with how things are. We're impatient. We want to skip that process. We want to skip that understanding process. And it's like, you can't. This is not the field you can do that shit. Right? Again, as someone who wants to help build the next generation, if I taught them how I was taught, I am setting them up for the same failures that I experienced. And if I'm doing that, then why am I here? Right? So it's almost the same concept, and you could take it how you want to take it, but it's almost the same concept of, you know what? Don't whip it out if you ain't going to use it. Right? Don't pull it if you ain't going to use it. If you know, right? If you know what I'm referring to, right? But if you're going to brandish or you're going to show something, you better be prepared to use it. I follow that same concept. I'm not going to speak on it if I don't understand it. I'm not going to teach it if I can't speak to it. If I can't put it to action. Right? That's why we were in the situation that we were in. You talk about, they talk about the skill gap. The skill gap is there because no one was teaching the fucking skills. They were teaching to the test. They were teaching to the Security Plus. They were teaching to the CEH. They were teaching to, They were teaching to these different certs, and they weren't really giving the hands-on stuff. Like when I taught my Security Plus cohort last year, the potential employers that they got in front of for these internships and stuff like that, they were so impressed by these students because they didn't speak like they were students. But they didn't speak like they were students because guess what? I took an additional, and again, it was a grind. Some nights we were there till. Some nights we were there, 4 hours. 4.5, 5 hours. Some nights we were going from like 6 to 10, 6 to 11, but and that was but it wasn't mandatory. I would teach the lecture be done by 9. Lecture be done by 9, but hey, I'm gonna spin up Try Hack Me. I'm gonna spin up this lab real quick just to kind of give y'all an example of what I'm talking about. If you're interested, right? And sometimes I have a class. And when I did that cohort, I think at its peak, I had like 37 students. But out of that 37, maybe 17, 18 of them would rock. So maybe half of them would rock out at the end. So now but guess what? What ended up happening is when they got in front of, all these other potential employers, right? Because the cohort I did was a partnership with another company that had these roles. So when they were getting partnered, when they were going to these roles and they were speaking to the potential employers, and the employers would be like, wait, hold on. Like they were speaking, but now they could give examples. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, that's like for example, that when I talked about supply chain attacks, that's why I gave you the example of the Target breach, so you can visualize what that looked like, right? Because if I just go a supply chain attack, you're like, okay, what does that mean? But when I say, okay, that's because there was a trust between the HVAC company and Target that allowed the HVAC company to have access to Target's network because of their heating and air conditioning systems. And because of that, when the HVAC company got compromised, they also basically gave them the door was open for them to walk into Target, right? Something as simple as that. But now you can speak to a supply chain attack. So I say that to say it could be something as simple as that, or it could be something a little bit more in depth, but that carries them further than just knowing the answer to the test question, because they'll know the answer to the test question and get the certification, but then they won't get the job because they want you to be able to hit the ground running. And I know we've all heard that as tech professionals before. I want someone to be able to hit the ground running on day one. Security Plus don't teach you how to hit the ground running on day one. To be quite honest, even the stuff that I'm teaching, you still can't hit the ground running on day one. Nothing's going to allow you to hit the ground running than previous experience. And even though I'm giving you some hands-on stuff, that's still not enough to hit the ground running. But it gives you a leg up over anyone else who's starting from zero. So that's where we have to be patient with ourselves. That's where we have to understand that if it were easy, everybody would be doing it. And if everybody were doing it, they wouldn't pay what they're paying. You see what I'm saying? Like put it that way. Cybersecurity is not an entry-level role. There are entry-level cybersecurity positions, but they require you to have previous knowledge in another discipline. I came into cybersecurity from help desk and system administration. So it was knowing how to troubleshoot. It was knowing how to build out Active Directory networks. It was knowing how to do group policies and security policies and things like that. But because I had that and then went and got my CEH, and that's what helped. But then it was also being able to build out that lab and practice and learn the skills. So now when I go into an interview and they can go explain to me in detail how you would utilize the 5 phases of a penetration test on a potential target. Okay, so now I can say, oh, well, I would do my passive reconnaissance or whatever, and then the enumeration phase, and gather whatever information I can off of Google or off of the company's website, or even off of like a job board like Indeed or Career Builder, because the companies usually tell you what technology or what software you have to be proficient in to qualify for the job. 9 times out of 10, you'll know if the company is a Windows or Linux shop just off the job requirements, because they're going to want you to know how to. Can you do Linux administration? Are you Red Hat certified? Oh, that's Linux. Oh, can you do Active Directory? Can you do Microsoft Azure? Oh, okay, that's Microsoft Cloud. Sounds like on-prem and in cloud, right? So. Right. Okay. Then from there, I would use a tool like Nmap to see what ports are open and what services are on those ports. And I would use Nmap with the -SV flag to get the service information and what ports are open. And then I would do a deep dive on those ports. Oh, and then depending on what ports I found open, then I would then do this, right? If port 80 is open, that means there might be a web app involved, or 443, that means the web app is involved. 80 is insecure HTTP, where 443 is HTTPS, right? Okay, what's the difference? Well, HTTPS is encrypted. HTTP, you run the risk of being able to get that data, to see the data as plain text. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, that's literally how I was able to get my first pen testing role, because I could go in there and say what I did and how I would do it and go through the process. But I did that because I took the time to lab. I took the time to understand it. And you know what I'm saying? And then when I actually got my CEH, not for nothing, everything that I'm doing is stuff that I was taught by my first real cybersecurity instructor, and honestly, the person who I still feel is the best instructor I've had my entire career, and that was Keytron Evans. Keytron is where I got the idea to sit up with them and go, yo, well, we're gonna lab tonight, and if you want to do it, it's totally up to you. Why? Because when I went to his ethical hacking boot camp, and yes, I went to a boot camp, but when I went to his ethical hacking boot camp, we were there all day, and then we would eat dinner, and then some nights he would be like, yo, if y'all want to see what I taught today, you know, in action, pull up after dinner. Now it's 2, 3 in the morning. I'm not exaggerating, like 1, 2 in the morning. And guess what? We're back at it again at 8 o'clock. Out of that class, those nights that he did that, when I was there, one night it was like 5 of us. One night I think it was like 6 or 7, maybe 10. But but it was a large class in the day. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, these are things that I feel people need to do, especially in our field. And like I said, if it were easy, everybody would do it. But if everybody were able to do it, then everybody wouldn't get paid the way they get paid. My help desk role didn't do that. I had to fire up a lab to fill in the gaps. But see, again, that's also, I'm still building. But see, that's the thing. You're not going to be able to teach everything. I'm not going to be able to teach everything. But there are certain things that I can give you based on my almost 20 years of experience. You see what I'm saying? So, like, for example, if I'm teaching a web app class, I may not show you like a reflected cross-site scripting attack, right? Reason being is that's something that you can learn on your own. It's something simple, and quite frankly, it's something that might not be. It's not something that's that beneficial in the real world. And what do I mean by that? If you're a bug bounty hunter, reflected cross-site scripting is going to get you nothing. It just shows, well, congratulations, you can show yourself a cross-site scripting bug, right? But if I could show you something that would actually give you impact, like bypassing authentication using SQL injection or something, you know what I'm saying? Like something that is of value. So again, so you're not going to be able to show them everything, but if you can give them certain examples, right? Certain examples that they can speak to. Again, now when they go into these interviews, they can speak to it and they can give you they can give those examples. Like, again, using Keytron as the example, Keytron taught us in one of our pen testing labs for the covering track. Like sometimes when you're covering your tracks, sometimes you might infect the computer with malware intentionally when you're done. Why would you do that? Well, because what's help desk's first response if they see a computer that's infected with malware? They're going to remove it from the internet, and they're going to probably wipe the computer. Well, now they just helped you cover your tracks for you. Right? Now, imagine using an example like that in an interview. You're hot. You know what I'm saying? You're applying for a entry level or a junior pen tester role, but you can speak to every phase. And not only can you speak to every phase, you can show understanding and application in an advanced way. So, you know. So again, make sure you understand and learn how these things go, man. And don't rush it, because if you, like I said, if you spread yourself thin to learn all the things, you're gonna come back not knowing much of anything. You know what I'm saying? Or like, so just that's my my soapbox moment. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, so for like, heck, I'll even give you an example. I'll give you a real world example of stuff that I'm doing. It's not necessarily cybersecurity related, but it's just kind of give you an example. So I am currently learning automation, right? And I'll use this one. So I'm sure if you've seen, so this was $200 for the consultation. Oh man. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to figure out how to do automation workflows, right? Now this was actually one that was taken. I think this is actually taken from the NAN site, or it might have been from somewhere online. But basically the idea is to understand how this works. So if you don't know how automation works, essentially, if you ever use a tool like Zapier or something like that, what it allows you to do is it allows you to integrate several different tools and functions that you would do in your everyday life and try to automate it. So think of bash scripting on steroids, right? For my cybersecurity folks, right? So if you can, there we go. So in this scenario, this is using AI and some tools to help do a web security scan and essentially do like an audit, right? And as you can see, you have the documentation, right? So what I did here was, like I said, I took the workflow because they made it available. So shout out to them, whoever they are. I can't remember if I got this from another creator or from NAN, because NAN also has several workflows that you can download for yourself. But again, you want to understand how to use it. So here they have a landing page URL that allows you to type in the information of what you want scanned. Okay. So you would put in the URL of the website, right? So let's say it would be Alpha Esports Technology.com or whatever. It would then scrape the website. And then as you can see here, it breaks off into two branches. The first branch, the top branch, is going to extract all of your headers, all of your web application headers. Okay. And it's going to debug all of that, and then it's going to run it through a scanner, or it's going to run it through an AI model, which you can see here. It says you are an elite web security expert specializing in secure configurations. So I'm not going to read the whole thing, but essentially you give it instructions and tell it what you want it to do. So here, what it's going to do here is take those headers, it's going to scan those headers, and it's going to analyze that information for any type of cross-site scripting, information disclosure, cross-site request forgery, and more. So it's going to scan those headers. It's going to scan to make sure you have any CSRF tokens. It's going to make sure you're using, content security policies. It's going to make sure you have all the recommended security headers for your web application. Okay. Then on the bottom branch is going to review the website, right? Because now it scraped your website. It's going to review that for any type of web vulnerabilities, right? So it's going to check your headers. It's going to check the cookies. It's going to check the security configurations that you have on it, and it's going to scan that using their whatever instructions you give it, right? After that, it's going to merge the results back together. It's going to aggregate all of that. It's going to process the results and convert it into a web page report, and it's going to send you that report via email. Okay, and now you can run this every time you do this, or you can automate it in a process to set a trigger to run every month, and then every month it would read through the landing page, or you could give it like a spreadsheet of URLs you want it to scrape, and it will run through this process. Now, this isn't. It sounds simple enough, but it sounds simple enough because I took weeks just understanding it and then creating my own workflows, right? So for example, if you're in my Discord server, you'll notice every few days you're getting crazy dings in the Discord in the news section. Well, why? Because I created this one myself. I created a workflow in Discord. So I created a trigger that tells it to run every 3 days. So day between triggers is 2 days. So every third day, it's going to look at these 6 websites. So we have Hacker News, Threat Post, Krebs on Security, Ars Technica, Troy Hunt, and Bleeping Computer. It's going to run through these. It's going to scrape that information. It's going to scrape the information on these websites. Then I have it where I gave it some JavaScript code, and in the JavaScript code, I tell it to only give me the information from the last 48 hours. Okay, so if you go to Hacker News, you're going to get stuff that goes back for years. I only want the stuff within the last 48 hours. If you have anything from the last 48 hours, then move to the next step. If there isn't anything from the last 48 hours, then just sit and chill until the next trigger. Okay? So I have that for every one of these sources. After that, I say, I want you to limit the information, but I also want you to be able to extract some of the images, right? So if the headline or if the blog post or whatever came with an image, try to extract that image. Okay. So now you have 6 sources giving you all the information from the last 48 hours with their information. Now, I want you to take that information and I want you to merge it into one source. So now it's going to take however many stories they have, right? It could be, imagine if it's 3 stories from each. That's 18 stories. Now you're going to go through and you're going to merge it into one source. Now, when you go into that one source, the next thing I want you to do is I want you to remove any duplicate posts. These are all different platforms, right? But I guarantee you, if you go on each one of these platforms, you're going to find something about the Hulud second coming exploit. Why? Because that's important cybersecurity information. So now what I want it to do is say, okay, if you see that information more than once, if you see that article pop up more than once, I don't need it to show. I don't need 6 versions of the story, right? Any duplicate post, remove it. So it's looking for specific words to go, okay, this might be a duplicate. Then after that, it's going to aggregate it, and then it's going to go into a writing agent. Now, I'm not going to show you the writing agent because that's my personal writing agent that I created. I gave it some of my own writing stuff and things like that. And then from there, and for this version, I'm using Gemini, but like I said, for my own one, I have my my private LLM, right? And now you see it splits. What ends up happening here is that now it goes into my editor agent, which is also another custom thing that I built, because now I have it being edited a certain way. And then it's going to insert those links and images back to the corresponding stories. Make sure it's going to source it, because we do source it, and then it sends out an email like a daily aggregator. So now every few days I get an email that breaks down the stories from the last 48 hours, so I'm constantly informed about what's going on, right? But what about the Discord? Well, if you're in my Discord community, it takes this information and it breaks it down into Discord posts. And the reason why you have to do it separately is because Discord only allows you to the free version of Discord only allows you to go up to 2,000 characters. So because of that, it edits that for Discord, and then it formats it for Discord. And then what it does is it splits it back out. So it basically undoes the aggregation step, because now I want each story to post as its own Discord post. And I'll show you in a second what it looks like. And then it posts it to Discord via my Discord connection. So just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, I'll actually show you today. So if you look at here's my here's my test. And if you look, it gave me, what is that? How many stories it gave? It gave me 8 new stories today. So in the last 48 hours, there were 8 new stories, right? Again, this is how I got my information, right? It gave me a weekly recap. We talked about the Android streaming being a part of botnet, right? Troy Hunt did a weekly update. They caught that. Click fix attack, real estate finance. You see what I'm saying? So this is what I've been doing as a project of mine, right? And you can see every few days it runs this process. Some days you get no stories, some days you get more. Some days you get a whole bunch of stories. Some days you don't get images, some days you do. But it also sources it. It links it, right? Because again, we want to give the creators the credit. So now if you look, boom, okay, I want to learn more about it. Oh, I can just click the link to Bleeping Computer. Right? Simple automation. But again, it's by doing that and building it on my own that allowed me to better understand how the process works, right? If you go into my esports community, oh, that's actually a notification about me. But if you go into my esports community, I have one that goes out every day. All right. It creates this process. So it does a daily, that one's a daily one. So again, learn little things, learn it little by little. Learn it little by little. And learn by doing, right? So like you said, I have this, right? So I have my web security one. I have my daily news for cybersecurity. I have my daily news for esports. Fixed, and I say fixed because it was broke. I broke it several times. I have another one that automation I'm doing. So if you want to reserve a space, and it automatically generates to my calendar. And again, these are things that I'm trying to do that are a lot easier than paying, because I don't want to have to pay for everything. You see what I'm saying? So again, these are just little projects and things that you can do. But now guess what? Not that I would want to go into the automation space, but if I wanted to, I can speak to it. I can say, oh yeah, I've done automations. I've done automations from anything from building a daily newsletter or a daily digest to building out a reservation tool to building out web security scanners, right? And now because I understand how the nodes work out, because I understand how the process works and all of that, I can speak to it. I can say, oh yeah, like for example, there's this web security scanner one that pulls the information and it scrapes the website, and then it splits the headers away. It splits the headers up to analyzes the headers for any security issues, and then it scans the rest of the application for any other vulnerabilities, and then it sends out a report. I can speak to it. So yeah, I guess so again, these are just different things that you can do. And don't rush yourself. There's no need to rush yourself. Right? No one knew I was working on that. So why do I need to rush myself to be perfect? Right? I can't tell you how many times that the daily digest, like as you see, it says esports fixed. The esports one was fixed because that one was such a pain in the ass. And then after I did that one, I did the cybersecurity one. And then even after I did the cybersecurity one, the esports one was still breaking. And the cybersecurity one is actually more in depth or more technical than the esports one. That's the crazy part. The cybersecurity one has a lot more moving parts and code and stuff like that, but it's just the nature of the beast, I guess. So, I've been yapping now for about 3 hours, so I'm gonna probably drop off. I feel to get a better role, I need to skill up quickly. Are you giving yourself a deadline to find a new role? If so, then yeah, then you need to be able to learn the skill and be able to speak to the skill in a certain amount of time, but you have to give yourself a realistic time frame, right? So if you say you want to get a new role in the next 6 months, but see, here's the other thing. There's also a lot of variables that are in play. So you can put yourself in a position to learn the skills, to be able to learn the skills and be able to speak to them within the next 6 months. But the truth of the matter is also, again, just the current climate and the current job market. Like right now, the job market is so freaking volatile. I mean, again, like I said, they're trying to figure out what the new normal is while trying to bring things back to normal. And what do I mean by that? They're still cleaning up the mess that they made from 2022, 2023, right? So remember 2023, they were first flirting with AI, but they were also outsourcing a lot of work. And because they outsourced a lot of work, they let go of a lot of people, a lot of qualified people, and they were dealing with the outsourced talent. And again, nothing wrong with them. You got some really skilled people, but then they ran into other issues, right? Think of the CloudStrike issue, where either the employees were remote or they didn't have enough people for one reason or another to be able to fix the issue when CrowdStrike essentially broke the internet, right? There's the stupid. See, there's the. I don't know. I don't even know if I didn't. Is this always just following me right now? I'm about to say I didn't even do anything, but yeah. So there were definitely mistakes made in some of the decisions that were made back then, and they were cleaning that up. And now you have AI, where everybody's feeling like they can, get rid of a ton of workers and lay off thousands of people. So right now I can't tell the next person what to do with their life. I can't tell the next man what they should or shouldn't do in order to better provide for their family. I would never do that. What I will do, is, in my opinion, I would say if you're going to do that, I would obviously do so quietly, but I would also do it while keeping your current spot secure. And I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from experience of a certain standpoint, right? Because everybody knows, or everybody who watches on here knows that while I was building this space out, I did get laid off from a role that I thought was very secure, and then struggled to find regular full-time employment. Like, I grabbed several little consulting gigs and stuff like that, but it was trying to find that W-2 role and stuff like that, where I struggled. And because of that, things were difficult, because I wasn't fully sold on the idea of being a consultant. I was still like just doing it as a means to an end, but I was still of the mindset of the full-time job is the more secure option, right? Because jobs even after I got let go from a role, and actually essentially two roles, but I was still like, for job security purposes, I have to find a full-time W-2 role, because I'm working the different contracts, but they're contracts, right? So they would be, 3 months, 6 months, they're project based. So because of that, it was like, all right, cool. But what am I going to do when the contract is up, or what am I going to do when the project is up? And then I would just have to go scramble to get another project. So because of that, I was still looking for full-time work, and that made it difficult. But then I realized that essentially it was a blessing in disguise. And I think I talked about it on Bees' podcast a year ago. It's funny because I remember there was a dude, I guess he called himself being, trying to be funny, where I was like, yeah, I got laid off. But it actually worked out because it gave me the freedom to move how I needed to move to build out my facility, right? It gave me the freedom to build Alpha Esports Technology, to go to these meetings, to go to where, the people are, right? Because believe it or not, the gaming industry does also have their own version of the Cool Kids Club. So had I had a full-time job, W-2, I wouldn't have been able to do that. Now, the downside to that is it's not guaranteed money coming in. And because you're in a contract role, you're not getting paid every Friday or every other Friday or on the 15th and the 30th or the 1st and the 15th or whatever your pay schedule is. You get paid based on whatever is negotiated in the contract, right? So it could be a net 15, which means you'll get paid every 15 days. So from when you submit the work order, you submit the invoice and it's accepted, right? So it could be a net 15. I'm gonna tell you right now, I have not worked a single role that has been a net 15. Everything else, everything that I've done has been net 30 or net 45. In one case, it was a net 60, and I was like, yeah, I'm never doing that again, because now you have to wait 30, 45, 60 days before you get paid. So now you have that uncertainty. Well, not uncertainty, but it's like now that lifestyle change, because now you're used to getting paid every week or bi-weekly or semi-monthly, and now you're getting paid every 30 to 45 days. And then God forbid you're working with a contractor, you're working with a client, and they don't pay you on time. Right? Yeah, there's clauses in certain contracts that allow you to get paid or accrue interest, but who cares? Right? I have contracts where like, oh yeah, okay, if you don't get paid, it's 1.5% or whatever. Great. It's until I get paid, it's 1.5% of nothing. I'm supposed to get paid, you know what I'm saying? So those were the things that came with the need to get back to a full-time gig. So because of that, I tell people now, and again, you don't know because I didn't quit the jobs, I was let go. But if the power is in your hands to determine, I'm going to leave. If you are going to leave, make sure you don't show your hand too early. So what I mean by not showing your hand too early, you don't leave a job until you have another job. And by have another job, I mean agreed, signed, and start date. And sometimes that's not even enough, because I know a young lady who got a job, got a start date, got all of that, and literally was told a week before, hey, sorry, the role has been rescinded. So try to make it as secure as possible to know you have the role. But if you're upskilling to stop with the damn camera, man. If you're upskilling with the goal to eventually get a new job, then make sure the job that you're working isn't going to suffer. See what I'm saying? Right? Because if you're so for example, if you're working like a if you're working like a system admin role or something like that, and then you're pivoting to another role, that might require a certain level of time and dedication to learn the new skill set that you're trying to learn for the job that you want, that it might diminish the skill set that you're having, or that skill set that you currently have is could suffer. So now because of that, that can cause conflict. So just be very mindful of that as well. All right, so we got 2 minutes to 7. I got a class that's coming in a few minutes, so I'm going to wrap up the stream before they start popping up in here. But it's been fun. It's been 3 hours. It's been me yapping. I gotta get this Minecraft. I was supposed to get this Minecraft server. I was gonna do it. I was gonna do it on stream, but I'm just gonna go ahead and get this Minecraft server ready for this group that's coming in. And this camera keeps jumping back and forth, and it's irking the hell out of me. But we got to do this again sometime. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe. If I don't see y'all again before Thanksgiving, have a happy Thanksgiving as we jump into the holiday season. I know some people probably got their trees up and stuff already, but enjoy your loved ones, enjoy the food, and yeah, I'll see y'all on the next stream. All right, everybody be safe. Peace out.